Something that's going to come up often and that many students struggle with is factoring trinomials where the a, or the number in front of the x squared or the squared term, is not just a 1. So there's a lot of methods to do this. If you find a method that you like, fantastic. But here is the method that I encourage because it is the quickest once you get used to it. What you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, what two numbers multiply to that number in the very front? 3. What two numbers multiply to 3? Well, obviously 3 and 1 are the only numbers that multiply to 3. So we're going to put those two numbers in front of our x in our two binomials. Now we're going to ask ourselves, what two numbers multiply to -8? Remember, it's got to be a negative. So the only two I can think of that are quick are -4 and +2. So I'm going to put a -4 here and a +2 here. Now we have to do what I call check the outsides and insides, or the OI. So if we were to multiply first the 3x times the 1x and the 3x times the 2x, it's the 3x times the 2x plus the -4 times the 1 that when we put them together will give us this center term, which should be a -10. So when we look at this, -4 times 1x will be -4x, and 3 times 2 will be 6x. Is 6x minus 4x -10x? No. So what we have going on here is that we've put our 2 and our 4 in the wrong places. So let's try this again, and we'll put the 2 here and the 4 here, and we'll check our insides and outsides. So -2 times 1 is -2x, and 3x times 4 is 12x. Is 12x plus -2x -10x? No, but it is a 10. So that tells me we're on the right track. The only thing that we've got wrong is our plus and minus are in the wrong place. So we'll put the plus here and the minus here. That gives me a +2x and a -12x, which means we get that center -10 that we were looking for, and the answer is a correct factoring. Let's try this again. So what two numbers multiply to 10? Well, the two easy ones that I can think of are 2 and 5. And then what two numbers multiply to 7? Well, the only thing I can think of is 7 and 1. So I'm going to put the 7 here and the 1 here. And since this is a plus and this is a plus, everything is a plus, we're just going to use plus signs, and we're going to check our OI. So 7 times 5x is 35x. 2x times 1 is 2x. Is 2x plus 35x equal to 37x, which is right here? Yes. So we have correctly factored. Now, sometimes when you're going to factor a trinomial with numbers in the front, it looks really hard. Like if you look at this next question, this is just bananas looking. But if we kind of think about it, 24, 76, and 40, those are all divisible by the number 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out a greatest common factor of 4, and then you can see all of these also have an x, so we're going to take out an x as well. And when we do that, this looks a little bit more manageable because 24 divided by 4 is 6. 76 divided by 4 is 19, and 40 divided by 4 is 10. So this is going to factor down into something a little bit prettier this way. Now we do the same thing. We ask ourselves, okay, we got to get to 19, so we're going to do probably a 2x and a 3x because 2 and 3 multiplied to that front number 6. What number two numbers multiply to 10? Well, it's 2 and 5. You're never going to put a 2 with a 2. That's never going to be what happens. So we'll put the 2 over here, put the 5 over here. This is a plus and this is a minus. So these both need to be negative in order for us to get that positive 10 at the end of this. And now let's check our OI. So we've got a negative 15x and a negative 4x is negative 15 plus negative 4, negative 19. It is, and we have completely factored. Last little tip, this came up earlier. Never, ever, ever, ever do we want a negative on the front when we're trying to factor. Whenever you have a negative on the front and you're trying to factor, the first thing you want to do is take out that negative. So we're going to just factor out a negative, which means we're dividing all of our terms by a negative. Remember, factoring is dividing. So negative 3x squared divided by a negative becomes positive 3x squared. Positive 10x becomes negative 10x, and positive 8 becomes negative 8. And now you can see that this is actually exactly like our first problem, and the factoring is just always easier. So always, 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 if there's a negative on the front, factor that out first, and then we can factor down to the same exact thing that we had before, which was 3x plus 2 and x minus 4.